Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, we're going to be talking a little bit about finding purpose and meaning. I mean, how do you get it together? What do you do when you've had that moment when that person dies, leaves your life, changed forever? What do you do? How do you find purpose and meaning? I did it through just starting Open to Hope. But it was years later.
Right.
How do we find it at that moment? And then how do we move on? And what happens over time? We've got some great guests who are going to tell us some of the wonderful things that they've done and how they got through.
Yeah, I love this topic, Mom. So transforming loss through purpose and meaning. And our guests today are Casey Mulligan Walsh, Dana Lerner, and Georgia Levy. And I will start with Casey right here. Casey's next to us. So Casey is the author of the award-winning memoir, The Full Catastrophe, All I Ever Wanted, Everything I Feared. There it is. Love it. She has had numerous losses. She was orphaned at 12 years old. Her only sibling died at the age of 27 of a heart attack, and her son Eric died at 20 in a car accident. Wow. She has written for the New York Times, Huffington Post, Modern Loss, and numerous other magazines.
It's going to be interesting to find out how you found purpose after every one of them.
Whoa. Absolutely. Welcome, Casey. Next to Casey is Dana Lerner. She is a trauma specialist in private practice in New York City. In 2014, a car crash killed her 9-year-old son, Cooper, who was one of my daughter's classmates.
Yeah, at Calhoun, right?
Yeah, at the Calhoun School. Wonderful boy. I always have to say that. Good energy, amazing energy. Since Cooper's death, Dana has become a leading advocate for traffic safety and victims' rights.
Yeah, that's important in New York, traffic safety.
Oh, yeah. She has saved lives through this, and that's, part of our topic today. How do we create meaning, et cetera, and purpose? Dana co-founded Families for Safe Streets, a nationwide organization dedicated to raising awareness about rising traffic violence in the United States. She is founder of Cooper Stocks Way, a nonprofit that raises money for children in need. We'll talk about that as well. Mm-hmm. Hi, Dana.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next to Dana is Georgia Levy. She is a clinical program director at Our House Grief Support Center in New York City, which is just opening.
Yeah, we know Our House from L.A. because I'm from California, and you've got a friend staying with you, Steve and Stacy Parker, and they've been involved with Our House in L.A. and rave about it. So it's so exciting that it's going to be in Manhattan.
I love it. They have so many incredible services that are finally coming to New York City. It's so long overdue. Super excited about it. When Georgia was just 16, one of her best friends, Chase, died in a car accident with a drunk driver, and this has informed a lot of the work that she does today. She is a licensed social worker with over a decade of experience in trauma-informed care and working with people with various forms of loss. Welcome, Georgia.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for having you.
You know, finding purpose and meaning, it is so important. How do you do it? How do you redefine yourself after you've had a loss, a death? And I think every death redefines you. When Scott died, I started Open to Hope. Well, years later, we'll get into that, because if you're watching this show, we don't expect you to suddenly start a foundation. It's a process.
Well, and the first thing you did after Scott died, you got involved with the school, and then later you got involved in Compassionate Friends and started volunteering there.
Which is how I got doing a podcast and starting the foundation.
Open to Hope.
Because Compassionate Friends asked me to do something for them and got me into the process. So it's a lifelong, interesting
it is.
trip. And then my husband passed away 5 years ago, and I wanted to write a book for widows, and I decided to have a chapter on online dating, and I met my partner that I'm with now, and he's a psychologist also, and we met online when I was doing a chapter for online dating. Yeah. So I found purpose through writing, and that's one of the things we can talk about at your book.
Yes.
That can help you find purpose. How do you find that again, and how you found purpose with your brother? You ended up going to school, and
the short track story is I ended up changing my whole career path. I was in fashion merchandising, and I had an associate's degree in fashion, and I dropped out of school for a few years. My parents weren't that excited about that. Dropped out of college, and when I went back, I decided I want to go into grief and loss and give people what I didn't feel like I got. So I changed my entire trajectory, which you hear a lot when you hear people's stories. So
One thing you did that we were reminded, we got together with some friends that we knew years ago when Scott was living, and were involved when he died. You went on Outward Bound after 2 months.
I did because
I
my
don't know
brother.
if you know anything about Outward Bound, but it is a rugged program. And Heidi's brother went on it, and he was going to go, and then he got killed in an automobile accident with his cousin. And you said, "I'm going to go on his trip."
Yeah,
2 months.
it was harsh.
Incredible.
It was harsh, but it was nothing compared to losing a brother. It was physically demanding,
Yeah.
and losing a brother was emotionally and psychologically demanding.
As you said, you cried the whole time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
everybody thought it was because the trip was so hard.
They did, and it was hard, but I was crying because he was dead, for sure. But then more recently, because it does, we keep having purpose and meaning. We keep creating it over our lifetime, and more recently, about 7-8 years ago, I created a class at Columbia. I've been teaching there over 20 years, called Traumatic Loss During Childhood, where I teach my students about when we have traumatic losses during childhood, how does that change over our entire life course? How do deaths change us over the entire life course? Because they keep changing and evolving, and we keep transforming, right? And we keep creating purpose and meaning, which leads us into our topic.
Absolutely. So, who wants to start and tell us how they began the journey when we're talking to these folks on here?
I so relate to what you just said, of course, because my parents died 10 months apart when I was 11 and then 12. And one of the things that took me about 10 years of writing to realize, I guess I'm a slow learner, is that a lot of what my book was about is how losses that happen before you reach adulthood really change you, and by doing that they change the decisions you make throughout your life. So though I was a very strong student, the holy grail for me was to create a family out of the family, out of the ashes of the one that I'd lost.
When did you start writing?
I always liked to write when I was young, but I would say to encapsulate it, the first thing I did that was the result of loss was, creating this family. Then I went back to school when I was about 39 or 40 and became a speech language pathologist because I've always had an interest in language, but also my kids, each of them had certain needs in school, and I wanted to do for someone else what no one had done for them. So that's kind of another one of those things. And then I started writing in like 2011, and I was in this group.
When was your son killed?
My son was killed in 1999, so it was about a dozen years after he died, which goes to I get asked a lot about, the trauma that happens when you reactivate that when you're writing, and part of what was good for me is that I did have those 12 years. I wasn't writing in the middle of the trauma. But seeing from the very first essays that I shared how it impacted people and either made people who were grieving feel less alone, also help people know my unknowable son because they couldn't meet him. Those were all definitely ways that I found meaning after that, and writing the memoir. But then also my father and brother died of a genetic high cholesterol disorder, familial hypercholesterolemia. I have it too. Two of my kids were diagnosed with it. One of my grandchildren has it. And so I'm an ambassador for that organization. I'm on the board. So I think at this point in my life, we're lucky to get to be retired and have this still very active life. And pretty much when I think about this, most of what I do now is a result of wanting to find meaning out of loss and tragedy. And I think that's what I talk about a lot is living with grief beside joy, and that's the way you create that, I think, is to...
I like that. These two things can exist together.
That's right, and they're really two sides of the same
Yeah.
coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my friend used to say, life and death go together.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But you, Dana?
Okay, well, I have a number of things going on, actually. After my son was killed, the thing that struck me the most was that I had to keep him with me. And I still feel that way, but it was like a matter of life or death for me. I had to find a way to keep him with me. And so I was very fortunate that I have a very dear friend who started an organization called Coops Hoops. It's been going on now for, I think, 11 years. And my son Cooper had gone to basketball camp. He loved to play basketball. And we send children, many of whom actually are homeless, to a yearly basketball camp. So that started right after Cooper was killed, I think that summer. And my friend just is...
So your friend started
My
it.
friend Jackie
Okay.
Kern started
Now,
it.
could you have done it yourself?
No,
Okay.
I couldn't have. She's the brains.
And this
And
is the year.
Every
I want
year-
people to know, and you know when it started.
Yeah,
though.
it started in 2014.
But how long were you in the
Well,
grief?
I mean, it's still going on.
No, but
yeah.
in the grief process.
When
How
did
long
Cooper
was I?
die, and when did it happen? How long after was
Right
Coops?
away. I mean, it was months later, and I
And
had
she came in and
she
did it.
came in
Okay.
and
But Dana
yeah.
did not do it.
No. It was very hard to show up for things. I've never been able to go to the camp, actually. I've tried, but I've never been able to go to the camp. So she is just doing an incredible job, and so many kids are being helped, and that means so much to me. And the other thing is that I have... oh gosh, how do I even explain this? It's taken such a long time. A family friend of my family and somebody who Cooper was very close to is a guy from Guinea, Africa. And Guinea is in the western Africa. It's a country that's been very neglected. Lots of problems there, incredibly high illiteracy rate. And this guy, his name is Tori, came from a very difficult background, and it's a very long story, but I decided in Cooper's honor that we were going to help this community there. The village is called Tewa. It's in the rainforest in Africa. Getting there is like, I hope to go someday. I have not been able to get there because it really is in the middle of nowhere. But and this is something I worked very hard on with Tori, trying to figure out what children need in this village. And I talked to a lot of different people who have done things helping people in Africa and got a lot of different advice. And the original idea was to build a school. But we then found out that these children are so sick, they can't even go to school. There's so much illness. And so we ended up deciding to build a well. This community had no running water. They had one teeny little well, and the water was contaminated. So after 11 years, we finally this year, we ended up building 2 wells actually, because there were 2 little communities, and there had been a rift in these communities, but they came together in peace around these wells. So 2 wells were built. They even they took the name of both towns now. So this is very important I want to talk about, because it's, given the times we're in right now, where there's so difficult, there is this community in Africa where there is peace after like 500 years.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal. So that's been something I've spent a tremendous amount of time. It's very challenging to get things done in Africa, but it was worth every single minute of it. And there is these children, and the entire village now has clean water. So these
that's
2
given
villages,
you some meaning
Oh,
and,
it's
and
been, and
purpose
it's been
in your
incredible
life
for
right
me.
now.
And actually, the wells were finally finished right before the last anniversary of Cooper's death. And I just remember thinking, okay, he's not here, but he's saving people's lives. He's saving children's lives. And that is something that is, it's his legacy, you know. And so that's something important. And then I'm doing, as a trauma therapist, I'm doing some writing and working on some other things. So yeah, I'm doing a lot, and it helps. It just helps me think about him when I'm writing and thinking about him. Sometimes I feel like it's too much, honestly, So I try to like pace myself, but it's really helped my connection to him, which is
So, like
first and
me, you were
foremost.
already a therapist before
Yes.
he died.
Yes.
And then you've got the case of Heidi, where she was not a therapist and decided to go into therapy.
Right.
So you found your, through your African thing and the things you're doing,
Yeah.
and you through dealing with the cholesterol and being on boards or finding some things to give you purpose and meaning. Hugely important. Have you got any?
Absolutely. So, like Heidi, when Chase died, I was 16, and it was such an impressionable time in my life. And, one thing death can do is give you perspective. And that was at a time when teenagers are, worried about their clothes and popularity. But I was realizing the most important things in life are just being present, just being there for people you love, enjoying what you can. And I wanted to give support to people the way that I didn't feel like I had it. So it informed, what I studied in college. It informed me going on to get a clinical degree and then stepping into, therapy and social work. So really it's also changed the trajectory of my life, and in such a, beautiful and impactful way. And, our house is also a passion project, and also the purpose for our founder, Tammy Snyder. Her husband died when her children were very young, and she did not feel she was supported by community organizations. There was a gap in New York City in what they were able to provide for its residents. A friend of hers went to Our House LA, told her about it. Tammy is a force of nature, and through her sheer willpower and determination, has now established and is opening up Our House in New York City to give families and individuals resources that she herself did not have.
Okay, now I'm hearing this, and my spouse, child, parent, maybe even an adult who had an adult parent die, are feeling like, oh, wow, I'm listening to these people. I could never do anything they're doing. I mean, this is, really big stuff. And I always say, is there something they can do for you? I'm watching this. Is there something I can volunteer for that you all are talking about?
Absolutely. So our house, we're actually founded on Warden's 4 tasks of mourning. So that is accepting the reality of the loss, experiencing the emotions, adjusting to life without the person who died, and then finding that purpose and meaning. So we actually are a volunteer-run organization. So our group leaders are all volunteers, and a lot of them are called to the mission because of their own experience. So we are very happy that we are able to train and provide a place of meaning for not only the people who are grieving, but also for people who are looking to give back or maybe stay connected to their person.
So you can volunteer there, okay, but I want to say you can also support their organization by using it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And then you could maybe even move into doing a volunteer job after you went.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or donating money.
Yeah, or donating
I mean,
money.
people are always like, I don't want to ask grieving people for donations, and I'm like, why? Maybe that's all I have to give. Maybe I'm so destroyed that I can't get out of bed, but I can write a check or I can do Venmo.
Yeah, and we are very passionate about making grief services accessible, so we offer sliding scales down to $1. So supporting financially would also ensure that we are able to stay open and to continue to provide that service.
So
great.
again, if it is such a gift for you to give people an opportunity to serve. I mean, if your neighbor wants to help you, let them help you. Give them that gift because they're looking for purpose and meaning. So realize that you are giving to somebody else when you allow them to help you.
It's interesting, Heidi, that you said that about asking for money because that is something that I cannot do. I am not programmed to do that. But this is something, when you build a well and when you have these things, you need money.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been so uncomfortable for me. So I have some people that have helped me with that, which has been incredible. But it's interesting hearing your perspective.
Because
about
if
it.
I want to be of service, maybe that's how I'm going to be of service.
Right, right.
So you're not giving people that opportunity if you don't ask.
right, right.
And I'm sure your organizations that you're working with
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely true. And what I'm thinking is people are talking and you're saying, well, what if, people are watching and they're like, I don't have the capacity or I don't know where I'd begin. A lot of it's just one-to-one. It's relationships. I'm, a big relationship person, and just being able to extend support to the next person who's grieving. It is a really important thing to be able to do. And I think also, your volunteer work doesn't have to be around grief. You can
Right.
make connections in all kinds of other ways
To find meaning and
to
purpose.
find meaning. And, like writing the book for me has been a big people connector, and I like that. That's really important. I wouldn't say that I necessarily drew a direct line from my father and brother's death to the work that I do, but I think that even separate from that, being able to help individual people get better health care, have a longer trajectory, solve issues, I guess what I'm saying is that finding meaning isn't always a direct line to your loss. Sometimes it is,
I
right?
agree.
Right.
But sometimes you find meaning in other ways, and I think that's one of the main ways that we can live with joy beside grief. That we can have, we never aren't going to have the grief that we have, right?
Right.
But I just think extending out from yourself in any way, even if it's
Anything you can do
one-to-one.
to
Right.
help. Well, it starts out with taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the very beginning, taking care of you, giving yourself service,
Right.
eating right, exercising. We were talking about how important exercising is.
Yeah.
Just going for a walk.
And it's not only important for us, but it's important for family members. When my brother died, my mother did not. She was a runner before he died, and when he died, she 2 or 3 weeks after he died, she needed to go running, and so
I had a little thing in my brain that says you got to
take care of yourself.
run. You got to
Yeah.
run. There's
Yeah.
something, or you're going to die. And I'm
Right.
like, no, I'm not.
I've got to take care of
Or
myself.
you're going to be sick.
She didn't want to run though, 'cause she was afraid of what the neighbors were going to say.
Oh, yeah.
She was afraid they were going to say she didn't love her
They're
son.
looking
She's-
out the window
Yeah.
saying,
And judged.
She didn't love her son. She's running. But when she went out and did it, my sisters and I were like, oh, thank goodness. We're afraid one of our parents is going to die.
Right.
They are destroyed right now. And seeing her taking care of herself was really important to me because
Yeah.
I'd already lost a brother. I did not want to lose my mom.
it's interesting. I just recently moved into a senior center, and I'm 86 and I'm middle-aged there. And,
I love that.
And they had hospice come in, and I thought, they're not going to say the right things because they're going to give them a depression test. They don't need that. They haven't got that many more years to live. I mean, you're on the other end. You're on the last quarter of your life. You need meaning and purpose. They need to be saying, what are you doing? Could you maybe take a bridge class?
Right.
Or maybe you could go for a walk, or maybe, you could learn to play canasta. We need to find a way.
Continue to learn
Yeah.
seems really important.
But I like that you said that, because we're talking about finding meaning and service and all those sorts of things. But sometimes it's as simple as just having something that makes you have a little passion and having
Yes.
something to look forward to.
I love that word, passion.
Yeah,
yes.
and so play mahjong. Mahjong is really popular now. I want to learn to play mahjong. But if learning to play mahjong gives you a little spark, then that's enough meaning right now, maybe.
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. That may need be all, something to get excited about and,
Right.
and something to interest you that goes to the next step.
Yeah.
When you can then move on to
Yeah.
maybe do service. Because I do find that even if you can take a cookie to an event, I used to say that at Compassionate Friends because they have chapters, just go to your chapter and take a cookie.
One? Maybe that's all you can take, right?
Yeah, you buy some cookies, maybe
Right.
next time you can bake them,
Yeah.
or when you get there, help them with the chairs.
Yeah.
Take a book, buy a book and take.
Yes.
I mean, I remember one of the most blessed things that happened to me was somebody whose son had died. She brought me a book,
Yeah.
and dropped it off at my house. So, just the smallest things I know for people who've had a tremendous loss right now, no matter what age, It's hard to get your shoes on, match them up, get your socks on. You know, that's hard.
But
Get out of the shower, 45-minute showers.
Right. But that makes me think about how it's all little baby steps.
Yeah,
And 20 years
exactly.
ago, like I wouldn't have imagined that I would have had articles published, written a book. So many people know Eric through my
Yep.
writing. And then working with the foundation, like you just can't gulp it all at once. It's
Right.
every little step that you
Yeah.
take. And today it might feel like you're not taking a very big step, but you're doing something.
Yeah. And maybe you learn how to play pickleball.
That's right.
For your exercise.
Yes.
Well, Dana is right now.
I am now starting to play pickleball. And I was telling these guys before we started taping that it's really important for me because I do tend to isolate since my son died. And part of it is just this fear of people saying to me, how many children do you have? And listening to other people talk about their children. It's incredibly painful. But I decided this summer that I really wanted to play pickleball. And I started doing it, and I'm so happy. I'm
Oh,
so
that's
happy. It
wonderful.
took me a long time to do it. I mean, I really thought about it for a long time, and I was like, I can't. And then one day I was like, you just got to try. So yeah, you're right. Something that you would never have imagined that you would be able to do.
Love it. Well,
Yeah.
tell us all, I love the show today, and tell us where we can get a hold of you.
Oh, well, anybody can find me at my website. It's caseymulliganwalsh.com. My contact information is there, information about the book and other publications, and information about familial hypercholesterolemia and the Family Heart Foundation. So
Love
it's
it.
one-stop shopping.
Great, thank you.
For people who are interested in more information about Cooper Stocks Way, I have a website. It's cooperstocksway.org, and there's information about my son and about the projects that I'm doing, and about Families for Safe Streets, which I didn't get to mention, but it's very important. And you can also go to my website, attachmentgrief.com, or you can email me at danalerner34@gmail.com.
Our house will be opening in October 14th. We'll be opening our doors near Bryant Park for in-person grief support. So you can find us just by Googling or searching your internet browser, Our House, New York City.
Great. What a great group.
Absolutely. And I love all these ways of finding purpose and meaning. And it often starts out small.
Yeah.
And then it grows over time, which, happened with me.
Absolutely. So get out there. And thank you for watching our show today. And Heidi and I always want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own, and God bless.